Alright, so this will be a solution video to the law of sines homework. So our law of sines, again, says that for any triangle, if you do the sine of an angle over its corresponding side, that these will be in a special ratio. These will be equal to each other. Okay, so the key thing here is making sure you pay attention to what angle goes with what side. And so when I think about, say, like in number one, this 32-degree angle right here, it opens up to this side. So this 32-degree opening basically made that side. So the 32 degrees goes with that angle. If I think about the, let's get a different color here. If I think about the 54-degree angle, that's these two. So this arc opens up to this side, so that 54 degrees goes with that side, it goes with the x. And then if I figured out the third angle, that would go with this side over here. So the setup is going to be, say, sine of my angle, 54 degrees, over the side, x. That will be equal to sine of my angle. That was 32 degrees, I believe. It's only erasing the red. So I give up. That was equal to the sine of 32 over 18. So once we have this set up, we cross multiply. So x goes with that sine of 32. So x times the sine of 32 degrees. And it didn't matter if you did this one first or you did the one in red first. You still get the same answer. So x times the sine of 32 equals, and then cross multiply this way, 18 times the sine of 54 degrees. And notice how the 18 goes on the outside. Again, nothing really touches that inside right there, the degrees. So this is 18 times whatever the sine of 54 is. And then the last step is to solve for x. So opposite of multiplying by sine of 32 is to divide both sides by sine of 32. Plug this into your calculator. Be careful to make sure that this goes in parentheses, so if the entire side is divided by the sine of 32 degrees, and make sure you're in degree mode. Number 2, that's 73 degrees. Again, this side opens up to this one. So 73 degrees goes with that side, and 18 degrees goes with this side. Again, it opens up to this side. So sine of 73 over x is going to be equal to sine of 18 degrees over 54. So there's our setup. Angles on top, sides on bottom, or if you had it flipped, sides on top, angles on bottom, it'd still be the same thing. So cross multiply, x times the sine of 18 degrees equals 54 times the sine of 73. And then to solve for x, the opposite of multiplying by sine of 18 degrees is to divide both sides by sine of 18. And there you go. There's your x. In number 3, again, this angle right here, 28 degrees, goes with this side. I don't really have anything over here, though. The 105 opens up and goes with the 1500, so that's good. Sine of 105, it's kind of messy. Sine of 105 goes with 1500. And then I want that 28 to go with something, but nothing's really there. So if I think about, okay, here's this side X, what angle made that? That must have been this angle over here, because this angle is the one that opens up to that side. So I need to be able to figure out what this angle is, and since there's 180 degrees in a triangle, 105 and 28 gets you 133, then 180 minus 133 would give you 47. So this is really 47 degrees down here. And so again, this angle opens up to this side X. So it's going to be sine of 47 degrees over X. Cross multiply. And solve. And again, it doesn't matter if you wrote sine of 47 times 1500. Either way, you'd still get the same answer. 1 times 2 is the same thing as 2 times 1. Okay, so that cancels, and you get x equals 1500 times the sine of 47 degrees divided all by sine of 105. And again, make sure that top goes in parentheses. Number 4, 75 goes with the 127. X, this side, is going to go with this angle over here, because again, this angle opens up to this side. So if I've got 65 and 75, that's going to be 140 degrees. So that means that this angle must be 40. And so sine of 75 over 127 equals sine of 40 over x. X times the sine of 75 equals 127 times the sine of 40. Divide both sides by x. And we get our answer. This one, we got 76 and 46. That would be 12, 8, 11, 122. So that means that must be 58 degrees. So 58 goes with that x. And 76 goes with 362. Cross multiply and then solve like the others. On this one, there's two things to notice. One is you have a right triangle. As soon as you see you have a right triangle, you know that Pythagorean theorem and our trigonometry that we've done is in play. So, and then in this triangle that isn't a right triangle, you know your law of sines is in play. And the key thing to kind of notice in these problems too is that they both have a shared side right here. So in terms of like trying to solve this thing for x, if I could just know one of these sides, I would have the two sides in an angle. So in terms of, let's say I did this thing, 66 degrees, if I knew the opposite side and I knew the hypotenuse, if I knew what this was, whatever that number was, I could set up a sine equals the opposite over the hypotenuse. So that would be x over some number. But right now I've got two unknowns, but if I could figure out that side, then I'd be in business. And I can do that. It'll just take a little work. So starting off though, since I got some angles, I know I can figure them out, what the other missing angles would be. So if I've got 90 and 66, that is 156. So then left over to get to 180 must be 24. So this angle right here is 24 degrees on the inside. And then if I kind of cover that triangle up and just imagine these two, here's a half circle. So that must be 114 to get me to 180 altogether. If that's 114 and 39, That'd be 13, 4, 5, 153. So this angle must be 27 degrees. So I've got all the angles in this triangle now that I can start working with some things. Let's see what I can do. So if I'm looking at the triangle that is not a 90-degree triangle, I know that this side is 43 and the 27 degrees would go with it. I said I wanted this side x, so that was a shared side, and that would be useful for me. And that goes with the 39 degrees. So I can set up a law of sines here. It says sine of 39 over x equals sine of 27 over 43, cross multiply, x times sine of 27 equals 43 times the sine of 39, and then divide both sides with sine of 27. And this I am actually going to plug in on the calculator. So I'm going to do sine of 39 degrees. That gets me that number. Multiply that by 43, so I'm doing the entire top first. And then dividing that answer by doing the sine of 27 and getting my answer. I get 59.606. Okay, so we'll round it there. So this side right here is 59.606. So now when I'm looking at my right triangle, I've got 60, I've got x, and I know this hypotenuse for it is 59.606. All right, that was a 66-degree angle. So sine of 66 equals opposite over hypotenuse. And so my final answer would be multiply both sides by 59.606, so you get 59.606 times the sine of 66 degrees. And you plug that into Desmos, and that'll be your answer. And then number 7, again, same sort of idea setup. You have a right triangle, and then you also have another smaller triangle that doesn't have any right angles, so you'd have to use your law of sines to do something with it, at least from what we know right now. So I'm going to try to get all my angles. This one's 55 degrees, or this whole side is 62, so if this piece is 55, that means that this would have to be 7 degrees, because 7 and 55 gets you 62. And if we got 55 and 90, that's 145, so this would be 35 degrees. If that's 35 degrees, to make a half circle, that would be 145. If I have 145 and 7, that's 152. So that would be 28 degrees up here. So maybe I need some of those, maybe I need none of those, but we'll see. So I'm going to do the same sort of thing. I want the shared side, so I'm going to call that side y. And if I look at the, say, 7 degrees, that opens up to the 7.4. So the 7 goes with the 7.4. And this 28 degrees goes with that y. So I'm going to solve for y. Divide both sides by sine of 7. Cancels, so y would be 7.4 times the sine of 28 divided by the sine of 7. So 7.4 times the sine of 28 equals to that number, and divide that by sine of 7, and that gets you 28.507. And now that I know that, so I'll go ahead and erase this. So now I know that what this length is. It's 28.507. I'm trying to figure out this side x. I know that's 55 degrees. This would again be opposite over hypotenuse. So because of a right triangle, I can use my trig. So sine of 55 equals opposite over hypotenuse. And so x must be equal to 28.507 times the sine of 55 degrees if I solve that by multiplying, by getting rid of that in the denominator on both sides. Plug that into your calculator, get your answer. And that was the solutions for the law of sines homework.